Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. The Islamic Propagation Office at Rabwa, www.islamhouse.com, is pleased to present to you this lecture.
Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala Rasulillah. All praise due to Allah and Allah's peace and blessing be on the last message of Allah. In the previous class, we looked at separation of sexes, Islam being spread by the sword, the idea of Muslims having any sex like Christians do. In this class, actually, we'll be looking at the criminal law, Islamic criminal law, which is generally speaking identified as being particularly brutal, because of the fact that the adulterers were stoned to death, fornicators were given 100 lashes, thieves, their hands are cut off at the wrist, those who are caught drinking, drunk, 80 lashes, do the public executions that take place. So this is what we'll be looking at. But before looking at that, one of your classmates has an issue that they'd like to raise for discussion, and that is the issue of homosexuality. From what perspective do you want to look at it? Okay, from an Islamic perspective on homosexuality. First and foremost, before looking at it, one can look, for example, in Christianity, which precedes Islam, and which Islam holds as being fundamentally the basis of Jesus' teachings were the same teachings that Prophet Muhammad brought. They were both prophets of God, and they taught the same basic teachings. And before both Jesus and Muhammad, may God speak and bless on both of them, there were other prophets, David, Moses, such Abraham, and they're all prophets and teachings. Now in Mosaic law, the law which is well documented in the Torah, the Old Testament, especially the first 5 books of the Old Testament, in January 1st of the Torah, you'll find rulings made on homosexuals. And the ruling there is that it is something sinful. It is something where the person who practices it should be killed. Furthermore, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, which was supposed to be in the towns where Prophet Lot or Lut was assigned, that those people were destroyed for their deviation. Sodom, the word Sodom came into criminal law as sodomy. Sodomy, which is considered a crime, actually, even till today in many countries. Sodomy remains something which is known to be something evil, something despicable in society. Literally, sodomy, I don't know, sodomy? No, probably an answer. I mean, sodomy is you could say basically defined as anal sex. Right? I mean, this is obviously coming from the part of the male. Particularly in the case of 2 males, I mean, this would be the practice of homosexuality. Right? In the Quran confirms the story of the people of Lot. They're called Qawm Lut. And so in Arabic, Qawm Lut becomes synonymous with homosexual. The word for homosexual that we use is Luti, right? Which literally should mean a follower of Lot, Prophet Lot, but it doesn't mean a homosexual. And the destruction of the people of whom Prophet Lot was sent is described in the Quran. It is described there that they preferred relations amongst the males males amongst the males, females amongst the females, instead of male-female relationships. And so it's made clear there that it is an issue of homosexuality. This is the crime for which God destroyed. So it is looked at as a sin, a crime, according to the Islamic law. One who is caught in the act is executed, according to the Islamic law. That's the Islamic belief. Yeah, you raised the topic, so I mean, you want to, what the modern view, of course, I think we spoke about this before, that, I mean, this was the general view held by the world up until the last 25 years, when in the West in particular, in England, in America, especially in America, homosexuals joined in the freedom riot movement. You know, I remember I spoke in the previous class about the Black Power movement, where Black Americans were seeking their rights in the 60s, early 60s. They were burning down cities demanding their rights. Now, they got, at least on paper, certain confirmed rights for themselves, and following them was the women's rights movement, because they had joined in and supported this, a number of the groups had joined, and so then their movement came to the forefront. And following the women's rights movement, which was now the late 60s, early 70s women's rights movement, women demanding equal pay for equal work and, protection against male harassment and all these kind of things. Then, what followed that was the gay rights movement, they call it. Homosexuals in the Western terminology are referred to as gays, gay, that's the term which is used. There are different slang terms for it. In England they're called sisters. Where that name came from again. In American terminology, they also use the term fag, or faggot, is the name used to refer to homosexuals. Of course, this is where one has to be also versed in the different terminology, because in England, a fag is a cigarette, right? And in America, a fag is a homosexual, so, you ask if that maybe a flag, you have to be American, so you can put yourself in a very appropriate circumstance, right? Anyway, the point is that, as I said, in general, society looked at homosexuality as a crime. Homosexuals had to stay, as they refer to it, as in the closet. You had many people who would pretend to be heterosexual. They got married, they had kids, but really they were homosexual. They had another life, another hidden life, from the society. But in the 70s, they started coming, as I said, out of the closet. More of them started to identify themselves. They were parading in the streets, demanding their rights also. And eventually, they exerted such an influence on Western society, Western politics, that from the medical profession, their illness was removed from the categories of illnesses, and as I think I mentioned to you before, those people who were opposed to homosexuals were now classified as being ill, homophobic, right? So, beyond that, it also became necessary, in politics, any politician who expressed any kind of opposition. I remember there was one female politician in Florida, I remember her name, but she had expressed some opposition, and the whole country, went haywire over it. And, eventually she even lost her position in political position, and, she became sort of locked in the media, no more position, etc. And it became it became such an issue that, as we mentioned before, Bill Clinton had to make a commitment to homosexuals for his election. And this is what you're going to find now, since his time, prior to his time, from there on in, all of the candidates, all the people seeking office